So as a bit of a visual before we get in, a pseudo diagram for how everything's going to work. This will be the source expansion board that you draw power from wherever you happen to choose to do that, most likely from the main board for Light My Bricks. That's going to go into your gun effects board. This is going to be the first thing it connects to. Then from the gun effects board, it's going to go into a wireless power connector if you choose to use that. So these lines will go to two different wireless connectors. So you'd have a second wire going to the second one, the second power connector for wireless. And then from the wireless power connector, it's going to go to another connection cable to a micro 4-point expansion board. This will ideally be attached to the top wing plate. And then from there, you'll be able to directly connect your micro bit lights and wrap them up through your turret end pieces. These dark gray 2L bar pieces normally are not all the way transparent, or not transparent, but they're not usually have a hole through the middle of them. So you have to drill a 1/16 inch or 1.5 millimeter drill bit through them. Be very careful doing so. You can hurt yourself very easily. You have to do it 16 times. It's not easy. It took me like an hour to do the 16. But that is necessary for the light to actually shine through these guys. If you remove this little guy, it'll expose the place that I think was the best place to place them. So they're two 1x2 plate pieces. These little black pieces right here are actually the wireless connectors. And I will show you exactly how those connected. Basically, we got this guy right on the very end of the wing for the top piece. That part was very simple. And for the second half, I just grabbed a little turny piece right there, the 1x2 turn pieces, very common pieces, and this is where I place the bottom piece. And as long as the metal pins from both sides touch these plates here, power should be able to transfer, and having this in this exact position and just taking it to a slight turn was literally perfect. That's probably going to be the best way. And so I can wire this up, get it all connected, deal with the gun board and all that. And after I do that, I can just make everything else with all the turrets and all that wiring for all 8 guns and barrels. I can just have all of that just basically nailed down on this wing. So I can just remove this one wing, and that little wireless piece will come off naturally. And whenever I want to plug it back in, I just plug it back in. That wireless pin makes contact here, power gets transferred, and it's really easy. Underneath, in between those two dark gray Technic bar pieces, and it comes out to connect to our little gun effects board. Unfortunately, the way I have it set up right now, since I have the two wireless connectors, it's going to have 2 different gun effects for each side of the Venator, so I might need to get another gun effects board if I want them to be in sync with each other, but I guess we'll see what options we can have between the 4 ports that they give us, and maybe 2 of them will synergize well enough. We'll see. Take this wire from our wireless connector and attach this to the micro 4-port expansion board and make that secure here. Basically make the wire go taut, put like a little 1x4 plate or something, hold it in place, and then from that micro expansion board have it then go off with all the little micro bit lights to each of the cannons, and finding a way to do that in a manner that keeps everything hidden but while still a little loose to allow the cannons to rotate. Kind of a side note, as you're building this, I highly recommend you install all of the bit lights onto their micro expansion boards first, and then start installing them onto the turrets, because plugging in all those tiny ports while you have everything connected, or even one thing connected, basically just undoes all your previous work. So highly recommend you do that first. Okay, so in order to get the 2 cables to the first turret here, the strategy is to remove this piece and this guy And we're gonna wrap the two cables right in between there. Okay, so the strategy to make sure that you have enough slack on both sides of the turret for your wires to be able to turn it both directions fully. So you want to hold down with your fingers in place once you've got the ideal point, and then you want to turn the turret all the way in one direction and lock in with your right finger, because that's the farthest point it's ever going to stretch. And you're going to turn it, well, you do the same thing for the other side. I only have so many hands, unfortunately. And as a general rule of thumb, whenever you have wires coming in close contact with these ball joints, I suggest using the existing pieces to kind of just take the wires out of the way. Because whenever you're removing or putting these back on, you really don't want wires to get stuck in there. That's not gonna be a good day for anyone. Of connecting cable, use that piece to draw these cords back so they didn't interfere with the connecting ball joint. Used another 2x6 over here to hold that piece in place. Use the existing pieces there to just pull those cords out of the way. These cords aren't in any particular nuisance area, although those could probably be tidied up if I really, really wanted to. But all in all, it's all quite tidy. And now for the finished product on this side. We've got them doing their little flashing. They aren't doing it independent of each other, but that's fine. I kind of wanted them all on the same tune anyways. But this is fantastic. Really happy with how this turned out. And I can turn it all the way to the opposite side. It's getting a little taut on that one in particular. I guess I didn't adjust that one quite well enough. How about this one? Can I turn this one all the way to the side? Okay, so that one I did do correctly. So you should try to position them with the wires to where you can still have full range of motion. Unless you're just really, really confident you're never going to need to adjust them from whatever position you have them in. This is really nice. It is absolutely fantastic. And to demonstrate what I meant, that they are fully connected, they have all the power, they've got all the wiring to them, and I can just take this, just pull it out, and no wires being yanked out or whatever. That's all fully contained, and that's the beauty of having that wireless connector piece there. So if I need to adjust any other lighting, or if I need to adjust my engines, or if maybe I lose a light later on down the road, it's not a remove 8 cables worth of a problem. It's much more streamlined, and it's nice.